Hello, my dear friends. One of the tremendous changes, unfortunate changes that occurred after October 7th is that anti-Semitism is now off the charts, and it's been legitimized in a way that it never was before. You know, after the Holocaust, anti-Semitism was buried underground. The people were still anti-Semitic, but it was not fashionable to be anti-Semitic because of what happened in the Holocaust. As time went on, that the barriers eroded, and there was more and more open anti-Semitism, even to the extent that in the halls of Congress, American Congress, where it was unthinkable a few years ago for there to be anti-Semitism, and along came the Squad, and they legitimized anti-Semitism in Congress. They made it acceptable and fashionable, and that's where things were. Before October 7th, anti-Semitism was on the rise, but as bad as things were, October 7th was a seismic shift in anti-Semitism. If you recall, as soon as the assault took place on October 7th, even before Israel responded, the anti-Semites around the world said, whose fault is it? It's Israel's fault. It's because he didn't make a two-state solution. And it's because he imprisoned the people in Gaza. So it was Israel was to blame, not Gaza. Israel was to blame for the attack. And then once Israel began to respond, because after all, they were under assault, there was a war going on. There were missiles being shot by Hamas and Hezbollah every single day. But Israel had the nerve of responding to that. And people, when you shoot back, people get killed and people get injured. So Israel was blamed. You're injuring innocent people. And to the extent that the International Criminal Court paskined, so to speak, that Netanyahu is guilty of genocide. It's like the world's topsy-turvy. He's guilty of genocide. Israel, with restraint, is protecting itself, but Israel is guilty of genocide, and now he can't travel to 120 countries. He'll be arrested because he and members of his cabinet are guilty of genocide. So there is no safe haven for Jews anymore. We used to think America was safe, but the anti-Semitism on campus, it's just been unbelievable this past year. And there's very little that the government has done to stop it. And it's not only on the college campuses, it's throughout the country. The protests and the open expressions of hatred for the Jewish people in the state of Israel. Canada, the anti-Semitism has escalated so much in the last year, and Trudeau and his government is very weak, has done almost nothing to prevent the assault, especially in Montreal, the assault against the Jewish people. England, France, countries in Europe, the anti-Semitism is just unbelievable. Dubai, we thought after the Abraham Accords, it was a safe place to go. Chabad Shaliach was murdered last week. Australia, there was a Jewish shul 2 days ago that was burned, put on fire by an anti-Semitic arsonist, one of the oldest shuls in Melbourne. And wherever you look around the world, the anti-Semitism is completely off the charts. And it's being legitimized now. Whereas before, so they did it, but now they because of October 7th, they legitimize the anti-Semitism. Because look at the terrible things that Israel has done. Look how Israel has persecuted the people in Hamas, and look how Israel is murdering innocent individuals. So there's complete legitimacy. So the sky's the limit with anti-Semitism. As Jews, we look to the Torah for inspiration. And Parashas Vayeitzai is known as the parsha that describes how the Jews should survive in Galus. Yaakov went into Galus. He was the first Jew to go into Galus for a prolonged period of time. And Yaakov lives in the house of Lavan. And Lavan in Haggadah, we say, Arami Ovid Avi V'yelch Mitzrayim. Arami wanted to destroy my father. And who is Arami? Arami is Lavan. Lavan Harami. So many of them before I should say Arami Ovid Avi means that Lavan wanted to murder Yaakov, even though he was his father-in-law. And he pretended to be nice to Yaakov, but he hated Yaakov, and he felt that Yaakov had stolen his wealth, and he wanted to murder Yaakov Avinu, if not for the fact that God protected Yaakov Avinu. So what could we learn from the story in Parashas Vayeitzai of how does a Jew survive in Galus in face of so much hatred and so much anti-Semitism? The beginning of the parsha, I think, speaks volumes to this question. Vayelech Yaakov mi Beersheva vayelech Harana. Yaakov left Beersheba and he went to Haran. So he was a fugitive. He was running away from Esav. So he left Beersheba, he went to Haran. So Rashi says, why does he have to tell us that he left Beersheba? We know he was in Beersheba. Rashi offers an explanation, but I would suggest it's because the Chumash is explaining the enormous contrast that took place in Yaakov's life. Overnight, everything turned around, much the same as it has for us. Yaakov in the house in Beersheba, he was in the cocoon of his family. He was with his parents, and he felt protected. And the word Beersheba comes. The word Sheva means to swear. One of the explanations for Beersheba is because Yitzchak had a treaty with Avimelech. Originally, Avimelech tried to take Rivka captive as Yitzchak's wife, and then when God appeared to him, told him that you will die for doing this. So he released Rivka, and then he went to visit Yitzchak a little bit later, and he made a treaty with him, and they swore to each other they would have each other's backs. So Beersheba is the place where the relationship with the non-Jewish population is mutually beneficial and respectful, and there's a treaty between the non-Jews and the Jews, and that's where Yaakov was coming from. So the Torah emphasizes that he came from Beersheba. And where did he go? To Haran. Haran the word Haran means anger. It's unbridled and anger. It's worse than kas. Usually Haran is connected to the word Haron Af, which means the anger of the nose, because when a person gets angry, you can see the redness of their nose and the nostrils. It's like a dragon breathing fire out of his nose. So he went from a place of security, of a shvua, of a bris, of a covenant with his non-Jewish neighbors, and then he was catapulted into Haran, a place of tremendous anger and hostility erupted in his life. And the Torah here is describing the transformation that took in the life of Yaakov Avinu. What happens to Yaakov when he goes to Haran? On the way, he has a dream of the angels going up and down the ladder. So the question is, why did he have a dream at this particular point? What triggered that dream to happen? And what was the message of the dream? And why did the angels go up and then down? Rashi asked, you should be first. The angels come from Shemayim. They should go down and then go up. So I would suggest that the message of the dream was that the Jew takes strength from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That the Jew has no place else to turn when he's in Golus. He's lost. In fact, the Medrash says that when Yaakov came, when he left his father's house, he said the Kapitel Tehillim that we say every day, out of desperation. We too say it in desperation. I look at the mountains. Who's going to protect me? There's all these huge mountains. They're strong barriers, but they don't do us any good. They don't protect us at all. Yaakov felt lost and forlorn. Who's going to protect me now that I'm leaving my father's house? So, and that's when we say to him every day, we feel the same way. Who's protecting us? So the answer is, of course, our protection is not because we have a shvua when we make a peace treaty, and not because we have people that are willing to help out. We shouldn't trust people who are generous to us. I mean, we have to try to work with them. But ultimately, my salvation comes from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the theme of the dream is that a Jew is like the angels who went up and down the ladder, because all Jews are shlichim. A shliach is somebody that has a mission. The Rashi and Chumash talks many times about the missions of the shlichim, of the angels. So we all have our mission. We're like the malachim. And the malachim, the question is, why did they first go up and then go down? They're coming from the Shemaim, so they should go down and go up. So I would say it's because the angel derives its strength from the Shemaim. The angel has to go up to the Shemaim and derive strength from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And then he could carry that strength with it and go back down to the earth and have an impact. And that's the way the Jew has to survive. He has to be like the Malach that are Olim v'Yarden. We have to go up. In order to be able to survive in the Golus, in order to survive being surrounded by so many hostile nations around the state of Israel and around the world, we have to be Olim v'Yarden. We have to go up and derive strength from the Shechina, from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then we can come down back to the earth and survive in the Golus. When Yaakov wakes up, he says, God is here, and I didn't realize it. So the question is, what does it mean he didn't realize it? He didn't know that God is everywhere. Yaakov is the grandson of Avram. Avram taught about the omnipotence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He taught monotheism. Of course he knew that God is everywhere. And then in the end of the Sefer, in the end of the Chumash, it says, Ein od milvado, there is no one. The God is the essence of all reality. It's contained within HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In the Zohar it says, "Las asur depanim minei." There is no spot that where God's presence is absent. So when Yaakov, how could Yaakov say, I didn't know. He didn't know that God was everywhere. So of course he was there. So but I would say it means the word yada has two meanings. One meaning of yada is to know. The other meaning of yada is to be engaged, to have a relationship. When Adam is intimate with his wife, it says, Adam yada schava ishto. Adam, he knew his wife. It means an intense knowing, a knowing that comes about through a loving relationship and an intimacy. So Yaakov is saying, "V'anochi lo yadati," I didn't know. It doesn't mean in the first knowing intellectually to be aware of something, but it means the yeda others to be able to know intimately, to recognize, to feel it. He couldn't feel it, and he knew he was taught that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is everywhere, but he felt himself so lost at this period of time. So therefore, he says that he recited the capital of Esa Ein Al Haram Me'ayin Yavo Ezri, and where am I going to have salvation? And the answer is Ezri Me'im Hashem Osa Shemayim Varetz. The message of the dream is that the malachim go up and then they come down. They derive strength from going up. That's how the malachim are able to be effective. They go up to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even though the malachim are sent on missions on the earth, but if they'll just stay here in this world, they'll be ineffective. They have to replug in their battery, so to speak, constantly by going up to the Shemayim. And we have to be the same. We have to constantly be olim. We have to constantly rise. We have to feel the presence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We have to. So if we're suffering from what Yaakov says, that I didn't know, that's what we're also suffering from. We don't feel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't feel His presence. We think God's disappeared. It's a time of Hester Panim, of tremendous darkness for the Jewish people. And we feel as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu is no longer present. But that's a tremendous mistake. So we have to be like the Malach Elokim, Olam B'Yardimo. We have to constantly rise to the Kodesh Baruch Hu and feel His presence, and then take that sense of that experience and share it with other people. So let us hope in the Mirz Hashem that we will be able to experience what Yaakov experienced, the dream of the Malach Elokim, Olam B'Yardimo, in our own relationship with the events that are unfolding. The worst anti-Semitism that we've ever experienced. We need to be like the Malach Elokim, Olam B'Yardino. We have to feel close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and then we could come back down, and then we could train others. And in that way, we won't be V'nochu lo yadati, that we didn't know, in the sense that we don't have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. On the contrary, we have to feel extra close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu at a time like this. And in that way, we'll be able to withstand all the dangers that we face. And in Mirz Hashem, the hostages will be able to return home, the Karav V'Yameinu. Thank you for listening, and have a good Shabbos.